supporting the government's company tax cuts, and I've expressed my concerns, which was printed in the Australian newspaper this morning, so I'm not going to go over that again, but I'm quite willing to take questions.
What needs to budge for you to change your stance on that? How could the government open the door?
When I spoke to the government about the company tax cuts, at that time we didn't see the budget that the government put out. Now, in the budget, I just feel that they're not addressing the black hole in the budget, and I've got concerns that we're not going to be paying down debt. The government is expecting to make personal tax cuts. I said I would support the first and second stage. The third stage I've got concerns because that won't be till around about 24-25. In all honesty, how can I support company tax cuts that are happening about 8 years down the track, and I'm saying no, I can't support personal tax cuts? Australians need that support now, not 8 years down the track. I've got people in Australia that are homeless. I've got businesses and industry shutting down. And as I've said, the only way that they need to go now is to reduce electricity costs to businesses, industries, manufacturing, because they are going to be closing down. Jobs will be lost.
Has the government indicated it's willing to budge on it and negotiate with you?
I haven't had an opportunity to actually speak to the Minister Cormann. Let me put it on the record. I have the utmost respect for Minister Cormann. He's been a man that I have a faith in, and I have a lot of time for him. He's negotiated with me on this. I know he's devastated over this, but it's not Minister Cormann, it is his colleagues and the government that have let him down. And as I've stated, they've got to address the high immigration numbers coming into this country. They have to address and put a coal-fired power station in North Queensland. They've got to address the budget spending. We cannot keep giving away borrowed money to other countries when we cannot look after our own in this country. High immigration numbers, it's what's destroying the standard of living and way of life in Australia. The cities cannot cope anymore. That has to be addressed. I am a senator for the people of Australia. I am now in a position that I'm a person with my two colleagues, holds a balanced power in the Senate. In all good conscience, I cannot look back in time and think I could have made a difference and I never did anything about it. The people of this country want leadership. They want honesty and they want trust. And I have to do that job. I regret pulling out of this, but considering the budget papers that were handed down, I cannot continue to pass these corporate tax cuts.
So are you saying that's the end of it, it's over, or are you open to going back to the negotiation table if they can show some progress on those issues?
What the government needs to do, pull back on immigration numbers. I've been talking to them for over a year now about the PRRT, and multinationals must pay the taxes in this country. They cannot rip the guts out of this country with our gas off the North West Shelf and not paying the right amount of tax. They have to give us a 15% domestic gas supply, and they actually must introduce royalties again. It was under the Labor government, Wayne Swan, that got rid of royalties. We are, in this last year, sold $35 billion worth of gas from the North West Shelf. We only recovered, in total with the Western Australian government and the Commonwealth government, $1.9 billion. We should be getting more out of our resources than that, and yet the governments are reluctant because they're saying it's going to hurt the multinationals because of sovereignty. I don't buy that. I don't buy it at all. And unless we actually look at a revenue stream for our country, we will not have the money to provide for future generations, those that are on pensions, self-funded retirees. We're not looking after these people. And we are letting the multinationals rip the guts out of our country, and they're not paying for it.
So did you consult with your fellow One Nation senators in making this decision?
Yes, I did.
What did they have to say?
They totally agreed with me and they supported my decision with this, and so there's no problem about that. I discussed it with them prior to actually making the final decision and talking to the media.
Horse trading is one thing, but you're holding the government to ransom effectively with a list of demands, not just one or two things. I mean, to what extent is this irresponsible for a party with a balance of power?
No, you're wrong there. It is irresponsible if I do not address jobs in Australia with a high unemployment rate that is happening, and we are, our resources have been taken, multinationals are not paying their taxes here, and I've been on about multinationals not paying their taxes for the last 22 years, and neither the Coalition nor the Labor Party have done anything about it. Nothing. And I cannot, in all good conscience, say that I'm representing the people of Australia and I don't do anything about it.
So have you broken your word?
Your position won't change again?
I'll answer the question, have I broken my word? No, I haven't broken my word, because since doing that agreement with the government, they brought out the budget papers and they have not addressed paying down debt. There was nothing in it about the 1,000 apprenticeship places that I've in the pilot scheme. There's nothing about the PRRT, and there's nothing about the use it or lose it in the budget papers. So have I? No, I haven't.
Can you confirm though that your position won't change again?
I can assure you my position. We supported corporate tax cuts up to $50 million last year, and I stand by that. And that's helping more the mums and dads businesses. But I'm warning Australians, and I'm warning the government, and I warn the Labor Party, if they do not address the rising costs of energy in this country, they are going to see so many closures of businesses and so many people will lose their jobs over this. That is the main thing. Address it now. Corporate tax cuts were 8 years down the track. If you want to help them, then why didn't they bring it in right now from this minute? Why didn't they address the issues now?
So if the government were to bring forward those tax cuts, would you change your decision?
Sorry?
So if the government were to bring forward those tax cuts and make them happen sooner, would you reconsider?
No, I won't reconsider, because as I said, in fairness, personal tax cuts to Australian people, and they need that helping hand. They are struggling. They are struggling to pay their bills, to put a roof over their head. We've got people in Queensland, about 400 a week, that are taken off the grid. We've got homeless. We've got 4,000 defence personnel on our streets. How do you think that makes me feel? And I'm worried about giving tax cuts to multinationals, a big business. Yes, they need a helping hand as well. But let's look at this realistically. I want a budget that is not on eggshells, and that's exactly what this budget is. Government has to rein in the spending, as the Treasurer has always said. It's not about revenue, it's about the spending. Well, they haven't proven to me about reining in their spending.
How much extra revenue would the changes to the PRRT have generated?
The figures we had, about $6 billion over the forward estimates of 10 years. And that's only reducing it by 10%. So there is room to we can do so much more. As I said, royalties. We can make so much money out of our gas fields there. I said last year it made $35 billion. Next year it's expected to make $54 billion. If you go and have a look at my budget reply speech, I've actually stated that in my budget reply speech. I've spoken about pensioners, that they should get $150 a couple, a fortnight increase, and we've got to start looking after self-funded retirees. These people have gone without all their lives to end up, in a position where they can support themselves. But let's give them something as a reward. Let's give them a health care card when they reach the pension age. We're not looking after our own. We tend to be looking after those ones who are a drain on our society, have no regard for it, and we cannot afford it. Our welfare bill is going to hit nearly $190 billion, and it's rising all the time. Where is the money coming from? And that's why I have to be realistic about this. I have to actually be, pragmatic in my decisions, how I handle this. And in all good conscience, I can't. I'm looking at the long-term vision of this country, not the short-term. It's not about just, what's right for one nation. It's not about one nation. It's about the people of this country. Get past the short-term vision of handing out, it's like lollipops they're handing out and buying votes up to the next election. Decisions have to be made to take us into long-term about future generations and providing for those people that need our assistance and help.
So do you support the Regional Australia Institute to help migrants integrate into small towns?
Can you repeat that, please?
Do you support a push by the Regional Australia Institute to help migrants integrate into small towns?
Of course I do. New migrants that come here, they should be encouraged to move to rural and regional areas. They're shutting down. Our small towns are shutting down. People aren't staying there because it's lack of jobs, but it's no good encouraging them to go to these places if they can't communicate, if they can't speak English, and if there's no hope of jobs. We have to do things to encourage, to open up these small regions and towns, and the governments really have not focused on that.
Senator, what are you doing in Tasmania, and does it have anything to do with the Bradman by-election?
No, it is a personal family matter why I am here. Yeah.
Will you be running in the upcoming election? Will you be running candidates in Tasmania?
No, not in the by-election. No, we won't be standing candidate for Braddon. At this stage, we're only standing a candidate for the seat of Longman, and our efforts will be put in that seat there.
What about the coming federal election? Will you be standing candidates in Tasmania in the federal seats and the Senate?
I would dearly love to stand a candidate in every seat, lower house seat in Tasmania, and I think, put pressure on the government, on whoever the government is going to be, whether it's Liberal or Labor. I think One Nation has proven that I'm not there to support or back up either party. I'm here for the people, and people want trust and belief in their politicians, and I think they can get that with One Nation. Yes, I'd love to have representatives from Tasmania, but I'll say to anyone out there, if you're interested in being a candidate for One Nation, please contact the office. We'd love to have your expressions of interest.
Do you have any plans at this stage, though, to run candidates in Tasmania?
For the federal election?
Yes.
Most definitely, and definitely the Senate.
Just to clarify, sorry, where do you and One Nation stand on the 3 stages of personal income tax?
At this stage, and I've got to have further discussions with my colleagues, but at this stage 1 and stage 2, and then we've got to look at stage 3. As I said, that is a huge cost to the budget, and we need to know that we've got money in the bank to be able to pay for that. What I don't want to see is we can't afford this, and next thing the people are all looking down the barrel of an increase in the GST, and we've got to start running the budget now.
Damien Drumm says it's unfair. Sorry, just one more. Damien Drumm says it's unfair. You've gone back on your decision over these tax cuts. Do you think that's a fair statement?
No, it's not. In reflection that the budget was not released at that time when this was done, I don't think it is. And I'm taking, like I said, listening to the people of Australia. I've made a very managed decision about this, and I think what is right for the country. Thank you.
Thank you.